Welcome to the Network in Action Speaker Series, everybody. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Dave Peppelman. He's a business coach and founder of HVAC Implementer. Dave has been a leader in the HVAC and plumbing industries for more than 25 years, working his way up from the field in his family's HVAC business to helping contractors nationwide implement the systems and processes that lead to real growth. Along the way, he helped grow his family company to over $15 million, and since then, he's coached countless contractors to higher profits and greater freedom in their businesses. Dave's why is simple but powerful. He's passionate about seeing others achieve success both professionally and personally. His expertise lie not just in generating ideas, but in making sure those ideas get implemented, turning vision into results. Beyond his professional life, Dave lives in Maple Grove, Minnesota with his wife Lisa, their three daughters, Ellie, Lily, and Gabby, and their senior dog, Nobu. Fun fact, Dave and Lisa actually met at a wedding where he caught the garter and she caught the bouquet. That's cute. In today's session, crafting your unique ideal client profile. Let me reiterate that. In today's session, crafting your unique ideal client profile, Dave will guide us through clarifying and targeting the clients who bring us the greatest value. You'll learn how to identify the specific struggles you solve, apply strategies that turn conversations into referrals, and walk away with tools to immediately strengthen your networking and business growth. So please join me in welcoming today's NIA speaker, Dave Peppelman. Dave, take it away, my man.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure to speak to you guys and coming from Minnesota. So I know we got people all across the US, but right now in Minnesota, it's sunny and it's not snowing yet. So we are happy here. So across the country, enjoy that warm weather. We know we have just a little bit more time here before winter will kick in. But this is going to be a great fun exercise that we're going to be able to do today. And with it, I think this is going to help us as fellow networkers, and then as well as with our potential clients, that we get the clarity that we are missing to really start growing our business. So we're going to dive in, and we're going to have two breakout sessions where we get to actually work on the stuff we're talking about today. And I want to provide a Google Doc that you can use and customize it to your business. And so when I work with contractors, I really like it being hands-on. So this is going to be hands-on. Stop me if you got any questions, but I want to make sure that you take something away from it and you can use it right away. And so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna share my screen here and get going. So as we talk about the ideal client profile, we really want to get that clarity for our existing clients and then the people who refer us. So as you know, I'm a implementation coach inside the trades for these contractors. They're so good at their business, but unfortunately, they're not taking those business ideas and implementing them as often as they should to get the success that they're looking for. So whatever their idea is, I turn it into success by the power of implementation in their business. And so today is one of the things that I do typically in their marketing or when working with them in their sales is getting them to identify with their client better. So as I'm an HVAC implementer, to give clarity, I do help out everybody that's in the trades. The center of my bullseye is the mechanical trades, where often they ask me for the technical expertise to help them with specific issues inside their trades. But anybody in HVAC down to a windows to a carpet guy, all of them could use what we use in the service-based industry to help improve their business. So multiple ideas across multiple trades is where the real value is in. So as he said, we're going to talk about some uniqueness today. And when we think about where and how we are unique in our business and in our personal lives, we have some history. Everybody started with their own story. In mine, it was never intended to get into the HVAC industry, started with a family business, and then continually, gradually moved up to where I was running a business, working as a distributor, and now as a speaker and coach. So all those years of experience in all my jobs have helped build me to where I'm at. And then having the ability to generate massive income for some of these businesses, as well as the one that I personally worked in, but I've also been a part when it doesn't go the right way. So anything that you have, you're going to be unique in that you can use this for your clients and relate with them. And so, one of the unique things about me personally that we did touch on earlier is yes, there is the truth that when you do get married or at a wedding, if you catch the garter and someone catches the bouquet, in our case, it did turn out to a couple of years later that my roommate from college and my wife's best friend at their wedding is what happened. So, living proof of that. And hopefully, any weddings you go to in the future, it could be a story to share. But as we dive in here, let's look at the ideal client profile. And the two biggest things we're going to take away is the problem that we solve, and we want to get more customers we want. We really don't want to attract the customers that are going to take us away from what really is our genius that we work in the workplace with. And so we want to get more of those ideal clients. And we want people who know us to be able to refer that as well. So when we look at it, this is our target focus. We're going to first focus on predicting their problems. Then we're going to get into a self-discovery with the client. And then we're going to focus on the sweet spot. So when we're predicting problems, one of the things that we can use is like take Amazon, for example. When they got into the industry, on online shopping, it was starting to get competitive. But what they did differently was they focused on the savings, the buy now, and the free shipping. They really were trying to predict the problems and solve the problems that the customers were having so that they can get to that next step where they're constantly self-discovering with the client. And as you see, if you buy on Amazon a lot, you'll see that the buttons are often at different spots on where you can buy now, how you can save your information. It'll recommend something that you might need. So all of those things that when they're working with us as the consumer, they're constantly engaging in that value and building that to self-discover that they can give us more of the value of what we're looking for. And then ultimately they focus on the sweet spot. And so there is specific pain points that are really recognizable that is when we're in networking and we talk about the clients that we work with, that when we're with somebody else who doesn't know our business but can relate to that situation, they then can become a great referral for us. Um, so yeah. So inside of this, with getting unique results, we are looking at identifying the problems, all going to be about problems, then solutions, and then the three C's that we're going to talk about. And inside the three C's, we talk about consistency, confidence, and the close, that whole journey that we go with the client, and then ultimately attracting their attention. So we're going to do a fun little exercise here. And some of you know this game, some of you might not, but we talk about where's Waldo, right? So everybody that I've dealt with in networking, I try to tell them what I do. And it's kind of like the game Waldo, where it's like we're trying to figure out where exactly is that person, right? So when you talk about a contractor in the trades, that could be a wide variety, right? But once we really start to identify who our Waldo is, now the clients that we want to work with are going to be more recognizable to the people who can refer us and to the customers that when we're talking to them about their pain points, we're identifying it a lot better. So when we look at Waldo, when we see a big wide area, if you ever played the game, you know that until you start to recognize what he looks like, at first, you just don't know where to look. You don't know where to start. So when we're referring and being a network with other people who are not into our industry, how do they know what our clients look like? Now, I could look at this and I know exactly who my client is, but if I don't go ahead and be descriptive and explain who exactly I'm looking for, it's going to be very hard to go ahead and describe that to a person who doesn't know the business as well as me. So when we do that, our Waldo right now is very unclear. There's not much clarity to it. We now have to be very descriptive, look for the warning signs, keywords of potential clients. But also for our client, we have to be very specific on what we're trying to do to solve the issues that they have. And so the clarity that we can bring to it, we have to use most of the time more descriptive words and pictures. So we look at this with Waldo, we start describing, yes, he's a male. We want somebody that's tall, somebody that's skinny. Okay, he often wears the blue pants. He's spotted wearing a red striped shirt. He wears glasses, wears a striped hat. Now we're getting more and more descriptive of who it is, that when we do see, okay, that's what Waldo looks like. That's what our potential client looks like. Now, when people have it and they can relate, now when they see him out in the crowd, they're like, okay, who's this person we're going to work with? And so with that, we have this little tool that we can use on how to format our ideal client profile. And so with the Google spreadsheet that we're going to be able to work with, you're going to be able to fill yours out completely. So, and then you can have multiple of these ideal client profiles. And I know one of my buddies, Dave, is on here, and he's one of the strategic partners with me. And we know that when we are working with different people, really having a clear ideal client profile will help us explain to the other person, explain to our client what exactly the problems and solutions we can solve. So when we start with the ideal client profile, we want to start in the center. What is the center of what we're going to solve for this customer? So being descriptive, we're going to look at three things. We're going to look at the industry, look at the size and revenue, and then we're going to look at the position that the person who we want to go after. And so when we have those demographics and those things as identifiers, we now want to come into what is one struggle that we solve. We all know, I don't know about you, but being a typical husband and dad of girls, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I can do a lot of things, but if I can really hone in and really solve one struggle, that will make me better. Well, our clients are looking for the same thing as well. And we do it. And over our years of experience, we can solve a lot of problems. But one of the things we can do very well is pick out one struggle, one pain point that we can really drive home and be the differentiator. And then once we do that, we're then going to split it into four quadrants, and we're going to talk about four key areas of where we can identify those problems and make them descriptive enough that we can make them relatable to the person who's referring us as well as our potential client in those four key areas. So this is the layout for it. Now, we're going to walk through this one to see what it looks like fully done. So with that, as we have in the center in my type of business, right, I'm in the industry for the trades. So within the trades organization, I was showing you earlier with my bullseye, I can handle anybody. If I use the words construction, sometimes that might be a little different than in the construction industry to somebody in accounting or somebody in a law firm would say, yeah, an HVAC guy's in the trades, but somebody that's in the trades would be like, yeah, I'm not in the construction, I'm in a different part. So for me, the trades is really my identifier. The next part is the size of the company. Now, I can work with anybody from a one-man band all the way up to somebody who has over 100 employees. But where I'm identifying the problems that typically happen for my ideal client is typically when they're in 10 to 20 team members, where they're really trying to grow, get to that next level, but they're struggling to get there. Now, the way I position and go after, I have to talk to key decision makers. So the owners are the best people to start with, as we know that leadership starts at the top, and then work with the managers and go down. So with that, the one thing that I found common with a lot of contractors is implementation. I did a study with Forbes magazine, and it showed that in Harvard, it was actually Harvard magazine that did the study on talking about the construction industry is number 2 on least likely to implement their new ideas. If we look at it, plumbing's been around for a while, same with electricity, same with HVAC. All of those things are great, and people have turned up and reinvented the wheel. But one of the things they don't do on a daily basis is implement the business ideas into action. So if they could implement more often, then we can grow. So Mine was implementation for a contractor. Then by splitting it up, I identified four key areas of where they can really see where I can help them with their business. So when I'm talking with a client and I'm talking to them about what I do, sometimes it works best to really be descriptive of a certain area of of something specific I can help them to do. But the other part is if I'm referring somebody, telling them about what I do, I can now share a story, share an exact example that will make it relatable. So in this case, if I'm working with accountants and I'm working with CFOs, they hold the same leadership position that I do when I'm talking with a company. But they know that when they see a P&L that is too broad, there's no cost of goods broken down. There's not much detail. It's not helping them make business decisions. That inconsistent reporting is a great way that gets me the ability to now work with this client because I do know that that's just one part of where they're struggling with implementation. A lot of times I do get with the contractors is because they always need leads. That's probably a big part is that if they kept busy, they feel that they would be able to be successful and that would take care of a lot of the problems they have in business. So if we look at this ideal client profile, this format is going to help us to really bring out the clarity of what we do. So the solutions we're doing with this ideal client profile is we got the tool for finding the right client. We are going to hit the bullseye. We're going to attract the right type of client. Now, if we happen to miss, that's okay. We're still going to get somebody who is going to identify on what we can do to help them. And we're also going to be more referred by somebody be like, okay, I know Dave can help somebody with marketing. I know he doesn't do something specifically for marketing, but they're struggling with it. So that's something where Dave needs to talk to him. So out of that, we're going to get more referrals. And by getting more referrals, we're going to increase the business and also spread around what we do in our work. And then most importantly, we're going to enjoy what we do best. I don't know about you, but there's some good clients and there's some clients out there that drain the energy from you. But if we can get more of our best clients and we can continue to attract them, we are going to in turn get back into this industry, give back to the clients that we're working with because we are able to identify and solve their problems quicker, better, and more often. So with this, we define the struggles that they're facing. We expose those pain points, and sometimes we got to be very descriptive of what those pain points are. Bring them to a resolution that they desire. They know that they have a problem with leads. They can't get enough leads. They don't want to talk about can't get enough leads. They want to see what it looks like when they have enough leads and they stay busy all year round. And so the one problem you solve is your why. Why are you there? And for contractors, we can't wait until the frost is on the ground to think about heating. We got to do it before. We got to think about these customers and the pain points that they have all year round. So how do we explain our genius? Well, let's take an example right here. So if I have somebody in the struggle that I'm identifying with one of the people that I would potentially work with, is that they have too many ideas that never get started. My dad, growing up in the business, if you talk with him or any other contractor, you have a beer with them on a Friday night, you will find out that they have 1,000,001 ideas that they want to talk and resolve or do in their business. But you know what? They just never get that next step. Why? Most of the time, I feel that they are looking for perfection. They are looking for the ultimate way to do it right. And it just prohibits them from taking that first step. So the resolution is they just need to implement it, their ideas quicker, easier, and more often. And by doing that, they're going to solve the problem that is contributing to the contractors and the trades is the fact that they're so good at their business, they're so good at their trades, they're not working well on their business. And with implementation, if you're constantly evolving in your business, you're going to get better. So by doing that, we're now going to use this struggle and resolution type of spreadsheet. And so simply you just think about if you can put your perfect client in mind. Maybe it was a past client, maybe it was somebody that you dream of working with. Think of the struggle that they have, think of the resolution, and then we're going to categorize them into the key areas. So, for example, let's say they struggle with cash flow. They're not having enough money when needed, right? So, with that, we know that that's a financial issue. We know the resolution would be if they could have cash always available for payroll and paying vendors every day. Now, if you ever dealt with contractors, that is one of the things that they get paid through these jobs, but because they got paid $5,000, it doesn't mean it's $5,000 in their pocket. The cash that's coming in is expense for a certain reason, and if we're not diligent with it, we can have it come out as fast as it can come in. So identifying those types of struggles and then starting to categorize them will help us. So what we're going to do here is we're going to break out, and we have in the chat, and if Dan, if you can send that link out, it's a Google Sheet, and then you guys can customize and make this for yourself. But let's break out. Let's work with one other person and help each other identify the struggles. It's great if somebody doesn't know your business, because when they're hearing for it, they're trying to relate to it. And without any background knowledge, it's going to help you get the clarity that you're looking for. So simply just fill out the struggle, think of the resolution that you can solve for them, and then put it in the key area of the 4 general areas that you might cover for that client. And then the tool that you're using, which would be the main thing, the main struggle that you're looking to solve. So any questions we have? All right, so we're going to work on it. We're going to get us 4 pain points and 4 resolutions. Yes.
So I downloaded, I copied the link, right?
Okay.
And I just threw it over into Slack so I can grab it later, open it, and on my screen, right? But I'm not sure how we're going to achieve the exercise. I've opened the chat I've opened up the everyone chat. So I don't know what you mean by breakout. I'm not sure how this works, man.
All right, so you guys are going to be put into breakout rooms and you guys could do the exercise together, yeah? Dave, did you want to expand on the exercise itself?
Sure. Yeah. So as Dan puts you into the breakout rooms, right? Talk to the person you're in that group with and say, this is a struggle that my client is having. All right. And when you're telling them that struggle, go ahead and make sure it's clear, it's descriptive, and then talk about the resolution that you can do with that client. How can you bring them through that journey to success? All right. And so you're gonna write it and have it on your sheet, and then they'll keep track of theirs. And then at the end, we can go ahead and continue to build this. So so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the tab that is for the struggles and the resolution, and we're going to put them in. And so if you can, share the screen between each other. If not, tell them what exactly you're going to put on that sheet.
And Dave, we're doing that for 5 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, let's break it out. If we can get 4, that's great. If you can get 1 or 2, that's awesome as well.
Hey, the
Quick
sheet that you shared looks like it might be a second option. It's got your crosshairs in it for the struggle 1, struggle 2, struggle 3. It's not the format that you're showing us on the other on that last screen.
Okay, let's see here.
Also, while you're looking,
All right, we're back. Dave, take it away.
All right. Okay, so now that we had this exercise, and anybody want to provide some feedback? Anybody want to provide one of the struggles that they had and they worked through?
You feel free to unmute by holding the space bar or clicking the microphone icon.
Hey Dave, I'll talk about Ben, who I was in the breakout room with. He talked about a couple of different things, but I mean, one of the things that I talked about the two struggles: lack of credit understanding and lack of being or having difficulty with borrowing. And the first resolution is basically he educates people on the importance of credit, scoring and things like that. And then that can lead to discussions about the difficulty that they have, and then he'll provide the accountability and some of the tools to help potentially improve people's difficulty in credit.
Excellent. Excellent. You know, that is a great one because I know, and you know, Dave, as we work with a lot of clients, they're when they come to you and say, I need money, that's usually the last resort. They should be coming and getting money once they have money and they're doing really well, and then they expose and open up their chances for credit. So that is really good education on lack of credit. I don't think a lot of people know. So good, nice and clear. Excellent. Anybody else?
This is Bill. I'll share. I always have a struggle with finding these questions. So it's always a tough thing. I mean, I have different things that come up. So like, I'm a photographer, and so a lot of times with the parents, the kid may be more introverted or not as expressive, and so I try to, you know, tell them that I can sit down with the kid and one-on-one and talk to them, because sometimes removing the parent kind of has the kid open up a little bit more without the hovering. That's one thing. And so as I start to tease things out, like locations, sometimes providing them with locations is a struggle because they don't know where to go. And then sometimes it's what to wear and makeup. So those are like some of the pain points that I kind of identified. But for me, it's kind of like I go, well, those aren't really that bad, but I guess for them it is.
Well, definitely from a dad of three girls, and I got twin 9-year-olds and a 5-year-old. If we have to take any sort of pictures, yeah, it's like chasing chickens around, and so it's hard to do that. And so knowing the ones that can identify with kids and have the tolerance and can say, yeah, here we're going to be flexible. We're going to take multiple pictures. I just know we might get a good one here and there, but we're going to let the kids be the kids. And as we take these pictures, so one of the things that you could say is knowing the struggle of trying to get your family together for that perfect picture, no sweat, able to work in multiple environments with kids of all ages and still deliver the results of the best picture. So really that is a great way that as you started to talk about the issue, you got more specific. And then usually when you're with somebody, they can point out those key words and say, yes, this is a great spot. But I think for a photographer, that is definitely a market if you go after with families, is to show, you can do social media videos of it, like, hey, head swinging around, we're taking multiple pictures, but look what we got at the end. And
Yeah.
so that's really good.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to work and move on to the next stage, which now that we found a struggle, we're now going to be talking about, okay, how do we get specific in the industry and the companies we want to go after and the people we want to target. So we got to talk about the industry, the size and positions and revenue that we're going after. So in this example here, let's take if I was a coach calling on a landscaper to help them with their business, right? So I'm going to look for someone in the landscaping industry and preferably going to look for somebody who's in the residential sector. So this type of person is out there cutting lawns for homes and they're delivering a great service. So that narrows it down from landscaper to somebody who does it in residential applications. The next part is I'm looking at the size and the revenue. So for this contractor, if they're under 250,000, that is a pretty decent size landscaping business, and they might be doing landscaping projects. They might just be cutting lawns, but ultimately they have about 2 to 5 team members. So I know that they're going to be struggling with some of the issues with leading teams and how to keep their guys busy. And I'm going to be looking at somebody who's an owner, somebody who's been in business for at least 2 years. So why would I say 2 years? Well, you know what? I know that landscaping is a field you can get into one summer and be out of it by the fall. And I want somebody that if I'm working with them, they're tied to the business and seeing that this is something they want to continue to do for years. So for minimally 2 years is where I'm going after. So with that, you get very specific in your industry, your size and your revenue. And then also, who do you want to go after to talk? So if I'm at a gas station and I see a landscaping truck come up and I go in there and I talk to the guy who's out there cutting the grass. He might be a lead in for me with the owner. And so talking to him might be like, hey, your boss is great. He probably has you, working at 6 in the morning and off at 2 every afternoon. No, that's not happening. I don't get done till 9, 10 o'clock, when it's dark out. And so those are spots I can have the conversation. But the person who I want to go after is the owner and trying to get to that. So be specific with these 3 areas. Now, when you have with your ideal client profile, this is where we're going to start mapping them, right? So as we put in the center with that landscaper that I want to go after, I know who they are in the center, and then what is it something that they struggle with? And so if they have to pick with landscaping, one of the things that they struggle with is definitely something with keeping busy and cash flow. So out of that, I'm then going to expose the 4 areas. So maybe cash flow might be the first struggle. Keeping busy might be the second one. Managing their team might be the third, and so on. So with the Google Doc that I sent you, now that you know the struggle you were talking about, we're mapping it in those areas. Now let's make sure that we're specific in the industry, the size, the demographic we're going after, and who's the best person to go after that you can then build that relationship with. And if you're in a networking group with somebody, they know who they need to get you in touch with that you can refer. Okay, so as we're going to map out our client, we defined your struggle you resolve. So as you talked about with a credit agency, we talked about with a photographer. Okay, in those struggles, there's something that makes you unique. That what separates you from those thousands of other people who are doing the same thing in your industry, right? And then go after somebody specific, map out that perfect client and get very granular of who you want to go after. And then let's support it with the 4 areas around. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go into another breakout. And let's break out if we can. Maybe go back in with the same guys that we broke out before, and let's take it to that next level. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the 3 areas that are right in the center that we can identify and get that more specific and clear on our ideal client profile. Any questions? All right, Dan, yeah, let's break them out for another 5 minutes here and see what we can work on.
All right. I think I got the same rooms. If not, I do apologize. See y'all in 5. All right, we're back. Dave, take it away.
All right, perfect. Excellent. So how did that go? Anybody want to share some of their examples that they did into their industry specific?
I can share.
Sure.
I just kind of like jumped in the last minute, but I was kind of like, oh, I think kind of familiar with some of these exercises of identifying, pain points. I have a business called Rogue Hosting where it's a one-stop shop for all things WordPress. And so hosting support, and firewalls and securities and things like that. And kind of like identifying some of the pain points is, clients who are like, we don't want to deal with the technicality when it comes to hosting, and so we just want to have somebody kind of deal with that. A lot of also a pain point is customer service, where a lot of like the big box hosting companies doesn't really provide they're not easily accessible, and so having someone that and still kind of like have that face-to-face touch can also be really, really beneficial. And so kind of like what's the other one, the industry my target could be B2B, but it could also be B2C. And B2B could be a company of like a marketing agency that's 2 to 5 people who are like just wants to focus on marketing, doesn't want to do a whole lot with the hosting side of website. And so then it would be a really cool kind of like partnership with that. And so
Excellent.
And
I liked how you talked about it broad, but then you got something narrowed down. Working with a lot of marketing agencies, they do that. That's one of the things for keeping the safety of the client's information, but also to keep those websites that they build up and running.
Mhm.
That now that's specific. So now I know, and I'm just thinking of like 4 or 5 other marketing agencies that it's like, yes, here you go. Here's somebody that can expose some pain points. So excellent use of really getting the clarity and figuring out in the industry of, IT kind of support. You got narrowed it down to the specific client, and now we all can paint a picture and know who to go after. So excellent. Anybody
Awesome.
else?
Thank you.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and jump back in, and we'll again, with the example that I gave you, it lays out an ideal client profile that you can go and continue to build for yourself. And then as you come into an industry where you might need to build out multiple client profiles to get in front of people with that maybe can refer you a little bit better. So in my industry, dealing with the trades, I could make one specifically just for the HVAC that when they're talking and when I'm out presenting in that environment, that is specific for their struggles. And so feel free to make multiple ideal client profiles, but really what you're doing is you're really getting close on the problems they're having and the struggles that you're solving. So remember when we're talking about the ideal client profile, we're going to bring these 3 C's together. Okay. So we're being consistent. When we consistently are at these networking groups or when we're talking in front of our clients, we're being consistent with the services that we're offering, but we're also being very consistent on who we're going after. So as I think about these different industries and think about people that I can have help my clients or refer them to other people, I really need to understand the mapping, understand their industry size and position, so that way I can be consistent on who I'm recommending. But also for my clients, they can be consistent on the services that I offer. The next part is being confident. And so in this area, we have solved these problems. A lot of times we don't talk about how we solve the problem to it. So I think the best way that we can be is when you meet in your networking groups is just start off and talk about the last person that you had. Just say, hey, what was the problem you solved yesterday? Well, this is what I did. And you'd be surprised. It might not mean much to you as you talk, but to the other person, are like, wow, that was something very simple. So when I deal with contractors, and I helped one the other day, and we're talking about his cash flow. One of the things that I didn't realize that there was an avenue in his software that they can get a line of credit right away. And because they could, they were ultimately using it each day and making it a part of their business where they weren't handling the cash flow improperly. So something like that, and I'm talking to somebody who's in the financial arena, they would be like, oh, okay, knowing you have that, there's might be some other tax things you want to look at. There might be a way we can take the same money in and separate it so they don't have to be borrowing it. So that'll give you the confidence. And then ultimately the close is we're helping these clients get that mountaintop experience. We're helping them show that whatever problem they have, we can get them to that solution, but we're going to be the ones to take them through that. And so as you work more with the people who can refer you, as well as with your existing clients, you're bringing that closure together. And that's ultimately what we're doing with each other in business. So ideally, the ideal client profile, remember, we're focusing on the client's problems. We're trying to get really granular on what we're trying to solve for them. Remember the 3 C's, and then we're also looking at ways how we can attract clients. And a lot of times the people who are around us have people that they can refer us more business to, but it's being on that top of the mind. It's being easy and memorable of what you're doing in with your service that makes it that better. So yeah. So that is one of the things. You feel free to reach out to me. As I I have a podcast. One of the things I do like is taking people with a different industry and talking about your specific problem. And then I bring it into where it is with the trades. And it's really good because we all share the same problems. It's just dressed up and looked like something else. And so that is one of the services that I offer, but always love to, as far as networking, if we can help get the clarity on the ideal client profile, that is great. So yeah, before we leave here, is there any other questions? All right. And it looks like we all, hopefully we got something you're able to apply this immediately right after you leave. And just by talking in your breakout room, you really identified one problem that you can just start to expand upon that. But definitely, as Dave Pretty is in here in the group, one of the other things that would be good is taking this to the next level, is talking about your strategic centers of influence. And he's a great guy to reach out to. I know he'll be speaking on that as well. And that is where you want to take your ideal client profile. Now, putting it in with the people who are around you that can refer the most, and that would be a great resource to get the most out of our networking. But yeah, this was fun, and it's great that you guys learned from somebody in the trades that could help you in your business. But love to coach, love to help out people, and that's excellent.
All right. Thank you, Dave, so much. This was wonderful. And thank you all for being here with us today for our speaker series. Do check it with us on the first, third, and fourth Wednesday of every month for our Network with the Nations coming up on the first Wednesday, our Sales Mastery on the third Wednesday, and our Focus Forum, also known as the speaker series, on the fourth Wednesday of every month. We do look forward to having you. We'll be updating the calendar shortly. And yes, thanks again, guys. Thank you again, Dave. This was wonderful.
Yes. Thank you. See you.
All right, y'all have a great one. See you soon.